Hello, 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 hello. How are we today? What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? A lot of happy birthdays in chat here. Whoop, hold on. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I always forget to mute that. I need to get better at that. Andy with the 9.99 super chat. Good morning. It's my birthday, and this is all I wanted. Love you, Adam. Love you too, Andy. Happy birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Seriously, Andy. Do things you like today, things that you enjoy. Just have yourself a good birthday. Be around people that make you happy, not people that frustrate you. If that's nobody, then nobody's good enough. Julian, thank you for the $5 super chat. Happy Friday, Adam. Happy Friday, Julian. Julian, again, like the live, y'all. Thank you so much, Julian, for the support. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody feeling this morning? It is, I seriously thought today was Saturday. It's only Friday? Jesus, I thought today was Saturday. That's bad. Just can't keep track of the days. You love this setup? Yeah. It's actually only in its beginning stages, Justine. Like I'm becoming more and more. I'm basically no one's helping me with this, right? Like I'm teaching myself all of the stuff with OBS and basically checking out different overlays and how to modify them and how to do all this and make it the best viewing experience for everybody. There is another one that I'm trying to work on, more of a custom one, but it's going to have like a little box for like debates and different things and then a box for watching. So it's all on one screen and I can go back and forth between the two. But yeah, this is pretty good. So like when I have to leave, I go... So it's getting better and better as time goes on, but it just takes time. Plus, I'm also in the middle of probably the biggest move of my life, and that's been very, very complicated. But I don't want to get into that. It's a whole big thing. So, Debbie, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, and it's payday. Thank you so much, Debbie, for showing your support. I appreciate you. So, Debbie, thank you. I really appreciate you. I want to show you guys something, though. I know how much my chat hates Peter Doocy. I know the people who watch me can't stand Peter Doocy. Right? And so I must bring you great pleasure in telling you that he was attacked by a bird live on TV. Not kidding. He was attacked by a bird live on TV. And it is spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now. Give me 14 of them right now. It was that spectacular. I want 11 with some sauce. Give me 11 of them right now with some sauce. It was that good. So let's take a look. If there was ever a guy outside of like Trump or Elon that I want attacked by a bird, it's Peter Doocy. I don't have audio right now. Well, that doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't I have audio? That is definitely not good. We have to fix that. Tell me when you guys hear audio. Any audio now? Did that have audio, what I just did? Hold on, everybody. It's fine. I'm testing it. Just let me... So why are people saying yes, it's good? Yeah, I'm talking about the video, folks. Did the video... Hold on. Hold on. Let's try something here.
Social, like a lot of people this morning, and so we can get. I don't want to say the wrong water, but it's 1.3 million acres.
Well, we already have the Gulf of
Hold
America.
on, folks.
Right. So.
Yeah, Peter, I appreciate it.
A bird just landed on my head.
I don't know why this is happening right now. This should not be happening. Is it working? Okay, guys, that's because it's not that it was muted. It's... Okay, confirm that you can hear it now, everybody. Okay. No, it wasn't muted, folks. I had it on. For some reason, it selected another output, which I don't know why. Hold on. Now people are saying they don't hear it. Hold on. That's because I paused it. Hold on, folks. All right, let's try this one.
What was that about?
I did not like that at all.
Peter, the back of your head, your hair's standing up now.
I mean, you got good hair, though.
What is going on?
That's probably so dirty.
Had to be scary.
Did that work? Yeah, if you're hearing it faintly, it's coming through my headphones. Okay.
It's probably so dirty.
Right.
Did he say dirty?
Dirty.
Scary.
I know.
Hey,
The problem is the chat is delayed, so that's why I had to hold it. All right, so it's Spears HyperX Caucus this one. All right, let's watch it now and see if we can finally get this going. Jesus Christ almighty, dude. Fucking pain in the ass. Let me go back up here and thank people that during that time. Tara, thank you so much for the $19.99 super chat and the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Tara. Yeah, the problem is that it was delayed, And so I switched it off when I had it correctly because the chat was saying no.
As much as he wants to put out, they are big sticklers with HIPAA for the.
All right, let's watch Peter Doocy get attacked by the bird now and cry. Everybody, here's the thing that's gonna be super fucking annoying, and I'm just telling you right now, it's gonna like pet peeve the shit out of me. Is people are gonna talk about that sound the entire live because they're gonna be on the back, they're gonna be like delayed, so they're gonna be saying the whole live out about the sound's not working. You know what I mean?
President. So as much as he wants to put out, we should get in the next couple weeks.
And Peter, on this trade thing, do you think it caught the administration by surprise that China went from 84 to over 100?
No, if you talk to folks around here, they think it is the plan working. They think that is China recognizing there is a limit to how far they can go in this trade war that White House officials believe is basically the U.S. and every other country now against China.
That's right.
Peter, one more question. What about the water in Lawrence's state in Texas? They're saying that belongs to the U.S. Where is the water? What bodies of water are they talking about?
That is a great question, Ainsley. I am learning about this on Truth
It's
Social,
coming.
like a lot of people this morning, and so we can get. I don't want to say the wrong water, but it's 1.3 million acres.
Well, we already have the Gulf of America.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Peter, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Bird just landed on my head.
What is going
Was that a
on?
bird?
Oh, it didn't land on. It straight up was trying to attack him. That bird knows what's up right there, dude. Hell yeah, big W bird. Big W to the bird.
Right.
So,
Yeah, Peter, I appreciate it.
Bird just landed on my head.
And then it came back for seconds.
What is going
Was that a bird?
I'll tell you what's going on. You're pissing off the birds. Wait, don't Republicans think like birds are not real?
What was that about?
I did not like that at all.
The bird was like, shut your dumb ass.
Peter, the back of your head, your hair standing
Even the bird is annoyed by Peter Doocy.
up now.
I mean, you got good hair, though.
What is going on?
That's probably so dirty.
had to be scary.
It's probably so dirty.
That's probably so dirty. What a crybaby.
Did he say dirty? Scary.
Look at him. He's so grossed out. Like, oh my God, a bird touched me. Republicans, this is a man of the people. This is a man of the people for you.
I know.
Hey, President Trump, if you're watching upstairs, we got to do something about these birds.
Absolutely.
Make sure no birds touch me anymore.
Where's the Park Service? The parks, they're always out here sweeping the street and blowing, except when the birds are landing on my head.
These guys in media that want to like resonate with the Republican voter base act like they're like these camo wearing tough guy hunter, in the wilderness kind of people. And they fucking cry when a bird lands on their head.
Oh my God.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Hope it didn't have the flu.
That's right.
What about Biden?
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
Can we get the shampoo guy down here?
Right.
Oh my God.
Somebody get some 10X.
I know that had to be scary. Came up from behind. He
big
wasn't
bird.
That was a
expecting it.
big bird.
Yeah, it was like a
And it
cardinal
came back
just
from a
dropping in.
flyback.
That was the biggest bird. Listen, it's a message. It's a message from Mother Nature saying, shut your ass up. Who do you think you are, conservative ass, Muppet? Man, when a bird attacks you, that's a message.
As well.
Right.
That was just too good for words. We got to watch it one more time, just for laughs.
Big sticklers with HIPAA for the president. So as much as he is a limit to how far they can go in this trade war that White House officials believe is basically the U.S. and every other country now against.
You can actually see it fly by behind his head like really quick. If you watch like a couple seconds ago, you can actually see it go by him.
Around here, they think it is the plan working. They think that is China recognizing there is a limit to how far they can go in this trade war.
You actually see a bird fly behind him. I don't know if it's
White
the
House
same
officials
bird.
believe is basically the U.S.
Look,
and
they're surrounding him. They're like, this is our shot to get Peter Doocy.
every other country now against China.
That's right.
Peter, one more question. What about the water in Lawrence's state in Texas? They're saying that belongs to the U.S. Where is the water? What bodies of water are they talking about?
That is a great question, Ainsley. I am learning about this on Truth Social, like a lot of people this morning, and so we can get. I don't want to say the wrong water, but it's 1.3 million acres.
Well, we already have the Gulf of America.
Right.
So.
Peter, I appreciate.
The look on his face. He's so scared. Look.
Well, we already have the Gulf of America.
Right.
So.
Peter, I appreciate.
The look on his face. Yeah, this is like Mike Pence on steroids. This is like the Mike Pence fly situation on steroids, dude. Just look at his face. Look how fucking scared he is when that shit lands on his head, dude. Look.
3 million acres.
Well, we already have the Gulf of America.
We already have the Gulf of America.
Right.
So.
Because when you listen to these people in slow motion, it's...
Yeah.
Look, 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 look. Oh my God. Look at it. Look at it. Wouldn't that be perfect little statue to have? I should totally put that on a shirt. Peter Doocy with a fucking bird on his head and Mike Pence with a fly on his. I should put that on a frickin' shirt. I seriously should. Jessica, thank you for the 1999 W Bird. Felt bad, couldn't donate all week, trying to budget. Appreciate you and all your hard work. Thank you so much, Jessica. I appreciate your support always. Thank you, Jessica. What do you guys think about that on the shirt? Mike Pence and the fly on the front and Peter Doocy and the bird on the back. I don't know if the bird dropped one, but that would have been even better if it crapped on him.
Peter,
But look at his face. Watch his face, though. Come on.
yeah. Peter,
I bet you he thinks that it's something else at first. Like there's somebody standing behind him.
Landed on my
Oh my God, this is just poetic for the biggest jerk in political commentary. Oh my God. It's too perfect.
what's going
Was that a
on?
bird?
What was that about?
I did not like that at all.
Peter, the back of your head, your hair's standing up now.
I mean, you got good hair, though.
What's going on?
That's probably so dirty.
Had to be scary.
Listen to him. This is supposed to be the big, tough Republican guy, right? You know, like the pull yourself up by your bootstraps guy. Listen to what he says right after.
What's going on?
Listen to this.
That's probably so dirty.
It's probably so dirty. Oh my God. Yeah, you're such a tough guy, Peter. This is the guy that tries to like resonate with like the camo wearing, hunting, tough guy Republican. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Don't complain, just get it done. Oh my God, that bird was probably dirty. Stop it. That bird was probably so dirty.
Scary.
It's probably so dirty.
Did he say dirty?
Yeah.
Scary.
I know.
Hey, President
Of course he said dirty. He's a spoon-fed fucking rich kid, grew up with all the money and anything he could ever want, in his life. This kid, do you think Peter Doocy's ever struggled a day in his life? That's why people who typically have struggled tend to land on the left side of the political spectrum, and those that haven't tend to land on the right. Peter Doocy's one of those spoon-fed political commentators that never struggled a day in his life. He can't relate to the American people. That's his idea of dirty.
Trump, if you're watching upstairs, we got to do something about these birds.
Absolutely.
Where's the Park Service? The parks, they're always out here sweeping the street and blowing, except when the birds are landing on my head.
Oh my God.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Hope it didn't have the flu.
That's right.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
Can we get the shampoo guy down here?
Right.
Oh my God.
Somebody get some 10X.
All right. That had to be scary. Came up from behind. He
big
wasn't
bird.
That was a
expecting
big
it.
bird.
Yeah, it was like a.
Alicia, thank you for the $5 super chat. The Penguins sent the bird. Yeah.
Came back from a flyback as well.
Right.
I think China knows exactly who they're dealing with here.
I know, he did say, where's the Park Service? Isn't that fucking strange?
Remember in 2017, the president invited President Xi, to Mar-a-Lago
Ask Elon. Wait, who invited Xi to Mar-a-Lago, Trump?
as well.
Right.
I think China knows exactly who they're dealing with here. I remember in 2017, the president invited President Xi.
I don't know. Look, here's my thought. Do you guys think Xi's actually going to bend the knee to Donald Trump? I mean, Donald Trump might frame it that way if they come to some kind of agreement, which I don't know. I imagine they eventually will. I don't know, though, what that's going to look like. And this could go on for a year, But Xi doesn't typically bend the knee. And China already released a statement. We don't operate off threats. Like, this guy really thinks that Xi is going to walk in there and be like, Mr. Trump, what do you want? We don't want the smoke. I mean, these people really believe it.
To Mar-a-Lago to have dinner. And in the middle of that dinner, he steps away and goes and orders a strike on Syria. So he understands the toughness of Trump. He knew this was going to be a back and forth. I think eventually they do.
He understands the toughness of Trump because he ordered a strike on Syria during his... What? Debbie, thank you for the $1.99. Thank you so much, Debbie. You should start clipping parts of your live as shorts. Yeah, I probably should, Debbie. It's a lot of work. I'm trying to do as much as I can. I'm just working on all of it, Debbie.
Cave, and there's going to be a deal somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's going to go zeroed out, but I like the pressure that's been finally put on China.
Well, I think I don't think they flat out caved because I think there's a pride thing going on here. But the China economy's got huge problems. It's got a property market slump right now. They're trying to dig themselves out of a crisis by putting more stimulus money in. But basically they have so much.
C4, good question. Thank you for the $5.55. Says, is this birdie event evidence some spell work is working? Okay, great. I don't know. We'd have to ask the people putting the spells on his ass.
Housing and not enough people to fill it. They built cities and no one went. They were trying to generate a wealth effect, but it has not happened. 70% of their household wealth is tied to real estate, and the confidence in their own economy is eroding. And they got this other thing that's caught them by surprise. The next generation of Chinese workers are not working. 18 to 34, they're coming out of college, either refusing to or not having jobs. Now, what do? You got to put them to work. Where are you going to go with that market? You got to go outside the borders. You can't just serve the Chinese market. They're not buying. We are their number one consumers. So this is something that right away, they say that they're growing at 4.5%. The GDP could lose right away.
So yesterday I had a guy who left a comment on my TikTok video about the SAVE Act. He ended up deleting it because it was so embarrassing. He literally in real time makes a comment. He goes, well, you just have to bring your marriage certificate. And under the SAVE Act, the marriage certificate is not an acceptable form of identification. It's not acceptable. It's the reason they're doing it, right? And he's like, so first he says that, right? He says he said no one will be hurt. And this guy's saying 70 million people could be hurt. I said 70 million women have had their names changed as a result of getting married. By the third comment, he was arguing that I said 70 million people were going to get hurt and not all 70 million are going to get hurt. Republicans will literally change and move the goalpost in the middle of a fucking conversation where they can go back and read what they wrote 2 comments ago and see that they changed the conversation and they will still fucking move the goalpost. Like, so then I wrote on the bottom, I just explained it. It's like talking to a little kid because it was a thread with like 20 comments and people arguing back and forth on the video. And so I comment again and go, guys, watch the original thing this guy posted and then watch his last comment and look how he's moved the goalpost. First it was no one's going to get hurt. Now he's attacking me because he says that I said 70 million women could get hurt. 70 million women could get hurt. The point of the SAVE Act is to disenfranchise, to make things more difficult. We're not saying it would be impossible to vote. What we're saying is it makes it more difficult. The idea of legislation like this is to suppress the vote, to make it more difficult, to disenfranchise voters. Voters are not going to go out of, a lot of times they'll just give up. That's just the sad reality. That's not an indictment on a particular class of people, but it is just the reality that when it is more difficult to vote in terms of paperwork and registration, because of the National Registration Act, people will not vote if it's more difficult for them to do so. Less people will vote, statistically. That is just a fact. Okay? It's just a fact. The more difficult you make it, less people will vote. That is just a reality. Now, we could sit here and convince them, hey, like, you really should try and vote. You can't let things like this get in the way. And look, to people talking to me, I don't think this will pass the Senate. All right. It doesn't have really the support that it would need in the Senate. So I wouldn't worry too much about it actually passing the Senate. But I just want you to understand what they're trying to do, because they could move forward with a different piece of legislation if it dies in the Senate. Remember, they tried to pass this same thing in July of last year. It died, but that was a Democrat-led Senate. But regardless, it just doesn't have the support. Judy B, thank you for the $4.99. Trump's having his physical today. Let's hope he flunks it. I mean, those physicals, I mean, I don't know what they consist of. Like, are you breathing, basically? Amanda, thank you for the $5 for the goal and for Friday. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate you so much. Judy, thank you so much as well. I appreciate it. No, the SAVE Act passed the House. The SAVE Act passed the House. What I'm saying is they passed this previous piece of legislation. They attempted to pass in July of last year, but it died in the Senate. Obviously, it was, they didn't have the same control then, but I don't think it's going to pass the Senate. So I wouldn't panic about it. I really don't. But it's still important for you to see. I mean, it could. I mean, you never know. But it's dangerous. The point is, I want people to understand what the purpose of it is. This idea that, well, you can still vote. All you have to do is this, 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 and this. All you have to do is get real ID and blah, 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 is the more we need to make it as easy as possible for people to vote. And the point of the argument is this. We already have federal law that prohibits the very things they're trying to eliminate with this legislation. You don't need additional legislation. There's federal law that prohibits people that are not citizens of the United States from voting in federal elections. Why would we pass an additional piece of legislation making it more difficult for American citizens to participate in their federal elections? It doesn't make any sense. It's very obvious, and the problem with the Republican voter base is they don't understand nuance. They don't look into nuance. They don't read into nuance, right? They don't look and see if there's some kind of ulterior motive because they don't really care. If you're dumb enough to believe this is about undocumented immigrants voting in federal elections, then I encourage you to go look how many undocumented immigrants have voted in federal elections, and if you think that have changed the outcome of any election Give me a break. You think undocumented immigrants are eager to vote in federal elections? Come on, people. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so obvious what Republicans are trying to do. I've said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. Republicans can't win future elections. There is going to come a time where Republicans can't win elections anymore, especially federal elections. There's going to come a time. They're lucky there's an electoral college, because it would come sooner than later if there wasn't. So they're lucky that there's an electoral college. There will come a time when Republican, and I don't know when that's going to be, in my lifetime, or I don't know. Things don't look good in the United States. Looks like we're going to live through some conservative leadership for a while, and this country seems to not be there yet. But it will happen, where Republicans just can't win elections. They know in order to stay in the game, they need to be suppressing the vote. They need to make it as difficult as possible for you to vote, especially people who are likely to vote Democrat. Especially people who are likely to vote Democrat. They're always going to be the target. So, as societies progress, it's just what happens, and I've always said the Republican Party will not live forever. It can't. I mean, I thought it would come sooner than, I didn't believe what we're witnessing now would happen. I thought it would come sooner. Unfortunately, we're much farther away than I ever thought, but that's a reality, and Republicans know that reality.
0.5%. So
they're going to do more things to make it more difficult for you to get out and vote. That's why it's so important that you vote. It's so important that you vote.
Relied on our outpouring of goods and getting rid of their cars, dumping all this material in all the Western countries. If we all stop buying it, or it becomes cost prohibitive, they're going to find themselves in a huge crisis.
All right, Jamison Greer, the U.S. trade representative, the one that you've seen on Capitol Hill, testifying in front of Congress, both houses. He is going to be on our show at 7:30. We'll ask him all these questions, and maybe he'll spill the beans on what the first deal is going to be, because Donald Trump said we're very close to making a deal.
China is digging in. Americans are waking up to a whole new escalation in the global trade war. Beijing is hiking its retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods today from 84% to 125%. And for the first time since this all started.
Like I said, this is going to go on for some time.
We're actually hearing from the Chinese president Xi Jinping himself. Xi's saying that his nation is, quote unquote, not afraid, and also warning, quote, there are no winners in a trade war, and going against the world will only lead to self-isolation. This after President Trump raised tariffs on Chinese goods even higher, 145% now, as we're all trying to.
So wait. So we were at 125%. So he put an additional tariff? There was an additional one? That's what that person was saying yesterday. I guess I didn't catch that.
Keep track. The White House says they're waiting for China to pick up the phone. China says essentially the same thing about the United States. This very clearly showing what a tit for tat looks like.
So what are we going to do, guys? We just going to go to like 250% tariffs now? Like, what are we doing? Are we just like, what's the end game here? Trade wars are bad economics. Xi Jinping's right. It's bad for the globe. It's bad for both countries. It's not good. Trump doesn't care about being isolated, though. That's what he wants. Trying to move theirs up from 84 to 125. Yeah, I just saw that. They just said that. So 125 and 145. They forgot the original 20% tariff. What do you mean? Like, what are we going to do? Like, are we just going to go to a 500% and then like, you know what I mean? They're not going to bend. No, they're not. China's not going to bend to Trump. Look, the reality is this. And Sheffy, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate the support, Sheffy. Thank you so much. The reality is this. Both countries get hurt. the United States will get hurt worse.
Sending markets tumbling Thursday. But President Trump still optimistic when meeting with his cabinet.
We think we're in very good shape. We think we're doing very well. Again, there'll be a transition cost and transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Stock futures are right now up across the board. Let's see if they stay a beautiful thing today. But what is concerning investors a lot right at the moment, the U.S. dollar falling to its weakest level against the euro in 3 years. CNN's Elena Treen at the White House for us once again. CNN's Mark Stewart, we're not letting him go. He's in Beijing for us. Mark, tell us more about China's counter.
They get a lot of like services from us, intellectual property.
Punch and what it's going to mean.
It's the one thing I have to fix is fucking implementing this into OBS.
Hi, Kate. Good morning. Look, none of this is a surprise. These latest tariffs are very much in the Chinese playbook. But what's very attention-getting to me is the fact that China is now saying it's not going to raise tariffs any higher, saying it has other weapons, almost making fun of the United States for raising the stakes, raising the numbers so high. Let me share with you some remarks we got late today from a government official here in Beijing who said,
yeah, they get what they get from us is a lot of services.
That the United States is engaging in nothing more than a numbers game with no real economic significance, going on to say the United States is exposing itself as a participant in weaponizing tariffs, as a tool of bullying and coercion, turning itself into a joke.
Wow, that's a powerful statement right there. That is a really powerful statement right there. It merely further exposes the U.S. practice of weaponizing tariffs as a tool of bullying and coercion, turning itself into a joke.
So that is the latest where China stands in this back and forth tit for tat. The other big headline of the day is that we are hearing from Chinese President Xi Jinping, really the first time since this whole trade war escalated to such a high level. The big headline is that he is saying China is not afraid. These are remarks that were made with the Spanish Prime Minister here in Beijing. And according to state media, he said that China is going to continue to remain confident. It's going to remain focused, saying there are no...
Yeah, I'm just not buying that Trump is going to go down this path much longer. He's going to, at some point, give in. There's no way that this guy is going to... He may frame it, but I think that the minute... I think he would take the lesser of a negotiation to stop this at this point. I don't see this going on.
No real winners in a trade war. Kate, the language that we're hearing from Xi Jinping.
If it does go on much longer, I really will believe Donald Trump is not. I mean, I don't think he's fit for office anyway, but he's obviously having some kind of like issue up here. There's just, I don't imagine this goes on much longer.
It's very consistent with what we've heard from other government officials over the last few days. And as you mentioned, as far as...
Then again, it wouldn't surprise me if it did. He's unhinged.
Possibility of a phone call.
This is unhinged. 145% tariff. People, that sounds like a movie. Doesn't even sound real. Sounds like a fucking movie. Sounds like some kind of like evil boss in a movie. Like... Oh my God, their president's I'm going to put 145% tariff on it. Are we just going to go to 500% tariffs?
Call between Xi Jinping and President Trump, not in the near future. That's the messaging that we're feeling from Beijing, at least.
And that is quite a statement that you got from that government official. Just, the gloves are off now in terms of how the two sides are going to be talking about it. We will need to stand by and see how Donald Trump responds to that. But also stand by with me, Mark. I'm going to get to the White House and get to Elena Treen here. Elena, are you getting any reaction yet this morning to this escalation from China?
C4, thank you for the 555 last super chat I can do till next month. Thank you for all you do. I wish you could do more. You deserve it. All the love, Adam. Thank you, C4. I appreciate any support always. Thank you so much, C4.
So far,
Can't
the
do
White
it
House
without
has not
you.
responded to the latest remarks from.
Yeah, I'm going to double check while this is playing to see if Trump has responded to this yet. I'm just interested because that statement was powerful. The United States is using tariffs for bullying and coercion, turning itself into a joke.
China or from President Xi. But what I will say is that the White House has been very dug in on its position as it relates to China. They're acting very defiant in this kind of.
Yeah, because he's trying to play like he's tough on. He's trying to play this, give this image like he's tough on China. Let's see if Trump has responded to this. I'm just curious. Be interesting to see if he said anything in response to that. The war of words could get ugly. My God. You know what the first thing I see? And Michelle Fiore, thank you for becoming a tadpole, Michelle. Guys, you're not going to believe the first thing I see when I pull up his True Social. Let me just read this real quick. The House and Senate should push hard for more daylight at the end of the day. Very popular and, comma, most importantly, comma, no more changing of the clocks. A big inconvenience and, for our government, a very costly event. DJT. Next, True Social. Russia has to get moving. Too many people are dying. Thousands a week in a terrible, senseless war that should have never happened. Blah, blah, blah. We are doing very well on our tariff policy. Very exciting for America and the world. It is moving quickly. He's got some old clip of Hillary Clinton on there. It's unbelievable. It's just like, it's like a...
trade tit for tat that we are seeing. But I think what's been very clear so far, Kate, is that this position is not going to be tenable for much longer. At some point, the two sides are going to need to really open lines of communications. Now, we actually have a story out this morning kind of breaking all of this down. But at the crux of it, Kate, is this. Two White House officials tell me that the president and the U.S. will not reach out to China first. The president has made it clear to his team and to his advisors that he wants China to come to them. And really, he wants to have a high-level meeting directly between him and President Xi himself. Now, this has been what the White House has been communicating to Beijing for several months now.
You should have seen him talking about national security in the Oval Office yesterday.
But on the other side, we also
the importance of keeping classified information classified.
So that Beijing does not really want to have that high-level meeting. What they've been trying to do is open communications at a lower level. And so really there's been this stalemate and no talks at all going on right now between the Trump.
So the question is, how long does this go on? Or we just keep doing this tit-for-tat tariff thing back and forth? So we're going to be at 500% tariff in what? At this rate, we're going to be at 500% tariff in 2 weeks. Like, what are we doing here? How long is this going to go on?
Administration and that
I don't see this going on that long.
President Xi. Now, one hurdle of what we're hearing behind the scenes here at the White House is that the president believes that President Xi does not want to be seen as weak.
And neither do you. E.E. Green, thank you for the $4.99 contributing to the goal. Thanks, Adam. Thank you, E.E. Green. Appreciate you so much.
That's really as well.
We're halfway done with the gifting goal. We have 13 minutes left, I think.
Coming into this refusal and waiting to see who blinks first here. Now, we've also heard President Donald Trump say that he is confident that he can reach a deal at some point. He said that he believes China will come around. He said China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how to go about it. They're proud people. We've heard similar rhetoric from some of his top economic advisors saying that the ball is now in China's court. It's clear that's not how China sees this. But I think the key question now moving forward is that really how this all is decided is going to be on how much pain are they willing to take? How much more pain are they willing to see in this escalation of these tariffs without any real communications to ensure there's an off-ramp?
Yeah, exactly. How much pain is the Trump administration willing to endure, and also the American?
Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. It's going to get uglier before it gets better. That's for fucking damn sure. Levitt
Last
speaking
night,
right now.
the Supreme Court delivered a massive legal victory to the Trump administration.
This is
and allowed
live.
us to continue removing foreign terrorist invaders under the Alien Enemies Act. This was a smackdown to a rogue left-wing, low-level district court judge who have relentlessly tried to stop President Trump from using his core constitutional powers as head of the executive branch and as commander-in-chief. The highest court in the land made it clear that the President of the United States has the power to protect our homeland and
Well, we're paying the price for his delusions. He really believes that the rest of the world is like respects him in ways they don't actually respect him. Yet the rest of the world is planning a future without the United States. Understand that that's the scariest part about everything that's going on, is that the rest of the world is actually planning a future without us. We're going to be out on an island. We're going to be the isolated country. We're going to be like Russia. We're going to be isolated. Chrissy, thank you for the $9.99 super chat for the goal. Thank you so much, Chrissy.
forcibly remove foreign terrorists who pose a grave threat to families and communities. Thank you to the Supreme Court for upholding the rule of law and protecting the Constitution. Our message to the monster Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorists still hiding illegally inside our country is clear. Deport yourself now, or you will be locked up and sent back to...
Are you talking about the plane that just fell in, looks like Boca Raton? 3 people were on board the twin engine when it crashed. The FAA told MSNBC, no conditions. We are deeply saddened to confirm that a plane crash occurred earlier today within our community. Our thoughts are with all those affected in the tragic event. We ask patience and respect for families involved. Didn't a helicopter crash last night, too? Didn't a helicopter crash last night?
Your home country. On another matter, the historic Liberation Day announcement last week by President Trump made it very clear that the era of American economic
Wasn't there a helicopter that crashed in the Hudson?
surrender is over. President Trump is no longer going to allow American workers and companies to be ripped off at the hands of foolish trade practices that shipped away millions of high-paying jobs and hollowed out communities across the country. It's America first, all the way. And despite fear-mongering by the media, the world is clear.
It's America first all the way as we punish the U.S. consumer. It's America first all the way as we isolate, more than 50% of the population. Like if we put, by eliminating, DEI.
Clearly responding to President Trump's approach. Just yesterday, President Trump held a bilateral meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here at the White House. The Prime Minister pledged to immediately...
Well, if you remember back in the day when they used to talk about the world ending, they would say planes falling out of the sky. Does anyone remember that? Does anyone remember, whenever you heard of, when you were a kid and they talked about the world ending, they said planes will be falling out of the sky. Where is that from again? I always remember hearing that as part of the world ending was planes falling out of the sky. Well, they're falling out of the sky.
Immediately eliminate America's trade deficit with Israel and remove their trade barriers. Israel's proactive approach should serve as a model for the rest of the world. Also yesterday, the president spoke with Japan's prime minister, who wants to negotiate as well. The president also spoke with the acting president of South Korea this morning. He has tasked Secretary Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer to lead these talks. In total, since the Liberation Day announcement, nearly 70 countries have already reached out to the president to begin a negotiation. Countries are falling over themselves to reform their unfair trade practices and free open their markets to our country. Why? Because these countries greatly respect President Trump and the sheer power of the American market. These countries realize they've...
When you look into Y2K, it's literally the dumbest thing ever. We should have known the population was full of uneducated idiots after Y2K, because Y2K absolutely makes no sense when you really look into the conspiracy. It makes absolutely no sense.
Gotten filthy rich
idiotic.
over the past few decades by imposing substantial tariffs on American-made products and ridiculous non-monetary barriers to block out American industry. The jig is up. Past American presidents sat by and let this happen, but President Trump stood up for our country, and he is saying no more. Manufacturing the 350,000 American jobs and counting. If you add up all of the investment pledges from foreign governments, President Trump has secured an incredible $5 trillion in total investments already. In the months ahead, President Trump's pro-growth economic agenda will be fully realized. The largest deregulatory...
How long do you guys think she lasts before they turn on her, too? Typically, they do. Chrissy, thank you for the $9.99 super chat, Chrissy. Thank you so much, Chrissy.
...effort in American history is underway.
Y2K was just fucking idiotic.
Unnecessary, burdensome, costly red tape is being eliminated by this entire federal government every day, driving down costs and massively boosting small businesses. So far, President Trump's deregulation effort has already saved Americans more than $180 billion, equivalent to $2,100 per family of four. The president's drill baby drill energy agenda, which he will discuss later this evening.
I mean, they seem to love her.
In the East Room, is capitalizing on the abundance of
She's the perfect talking head.
Natural resources under our feet to generate more affordable electricity, cheap gas, and quality new jobs. All of this will combine to end the Biden-imposed cost of living crisis that's absolutely crushed American families. Under President Trump, the American energy industry will lead the globe over the next century, delivering lower prices and significantly strengthening our country's economic position. At the president's direction, Republicans in Congress are...
She's out of breath. Shelly, thank you for the $20 super chat. Let's go. She sounds like she's reading a story in class. I can't wait till they boot her. I don't think she's going anywhere anytime soon.
Are working quickly to...
She seems out of breath, though. This job would suck.
Pass one big, beautiful bill, which will also include the largest tax cut in American history. As President Trump has said, the House must pass this budget resolution quickly.
Yo, she's in love with Trump. She's married, though, right? Isn't she married to someone that's prominent?
Our new media seat today, we have Jasmine Wright, the White House reporter for Notice. Notice is a nonprofit and nonpartisan news site which launched in early 2024. They've gained millions of readers across the country since. Newsroom's goal is both to inform readers and train the next generation of politics and policy journalists. They also partner with state newsrooms to give local communities more knowledge of what their representatives are doing in Washington, D.C. With that, please kick us off, Jasmine.
Thanks so much, Caroline. A couple questions.
Before we get to the questions here, Chrissy, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Chrissy.
For you, the first one being, can you explain the White House's evolution from this is not a negotiation?
Stop it. She's not married to an 80-year-old guy. Stop it. You guys are joking. He's not 80, is he? I thought he was like 60. That's still fucking crazy, but how old is he really? How old is he really? Stop it. I thought he was like 60. Is he seriously 80? Come on, that'll be fucked up. Yeah, my voice is supposed to be louder than the video. Jesus Christ. Is he rich? Yeah, he's rich, isn't he?
On tariffs, too, countries should pitch us and start negotiations on
Sure.
tariffs.
As the president said yesterday, Jasmine, both things can be true at the same time, and it is a non-negotiable position that the United States has faced a national security and economic crisis because of the unfair trade practices by...
All right, he's 60. He's 60. So she actually addressed this in a People magazine article. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, 27, addresses her atypical 32-year-old age gap with her husband, who I think this guy's like a real estate guy, isn't he? Nicholas Riccio, a couple married in January, days before Donald Trump's second inauguration. Leavitt is the youngest White House press secretary in history at 27, published wedding pictures on Instagram on Monday, March 12th, writing that she finally found some time to post a few of my favorite pictures from one of my favorite days. From one of my favorite days. Let's, I'll save this image here and try and bring it up for you guys. She said, he's my greatest supporter. He's my best friend. He's my rock. She raved of Riccio, 59, 60 now, a wealthy real estate developer. He's built a very successful business himself. So now he's fully supportive of me building my success in my career. There's some pictures right there. So the couple met when Leavitt was running for Congress in New Hampshire in 2022. She won the Republican nomination, but ultimately lost the seat. The campaign served as a springboard, I guess, to her personal life. So this is the quote from her. A mutual friend of ours hosted an event at a restaurant that he owns up in New Hampshire and invited my husband. I was speaking, we met, and we were acquainted as friends, and then we fell in love. I saw him scrolling on his phone, and next thing you know, I saw the Bank of America app come up. And I noticed he was quite wealthy. No, I'm just kidding. I made that part. I made that part up. That part's not real. Chrissy, thank you so much for the super chats, Chrissy. Appreciate you, Chrissy. Big W, Chrissy. Thank you, Chrissy. We only have 30 seconds left on the super chat goal. 30 seconds left. Sheffy, thank you for the $5. I made that part up. Let me finish the real part. I'm sorry. I made that part up. It's true. They say there's nothing comparable to the love you feel for your child. Talking about the birth. Oh, she had a child with this guy? He's the father of my child, and he's the best dad I could ever ask for. He's so supportive, especially during the very chaotic period of life. You were 32 when she was born? I don't know. What in the fuck, dude? Anyway, I'm not going to judge. I don't judge. Shortly after giving birth, she returned to work, blah, blah, blah. I looked at my husband and said, looks like I'm going back to work. Because she returned to work on the Trump campaign. She said, he's an introvert. I respect his privacy on here, but he's my number one fan, the best dad, and just the best man I have ever met. I don't know.
Countries around the world. As for the president, I have maintained this position. The entire administration has always said that President Trump is willing to pick up.
He's going to be 80, but yes, when that kid is in college, he will be in his 80s.
The phone and talk. And the president met with his trade team this morning, and he directed them to have tailor-made trade deals with each and every country that calls up this administration to strike a deal. And listen, and each and every one of these trade deals should be tailored and unique based on that country's markets, based on that country's exports, the imports here in the United States of America. What makes the most sense for the American worker and for our industry? The president is focused on putting America first.
So was the evolution not factored in or determined by kind of the tumult in the stock market? Was that not a part of the consideration to start making these negotiations and deals?
Again, I would reject that there was an evolution. On day one, we had said that the president will always pick up the phone for other nations and other companies that call this administration. The president always has a listening ear, and it's a non-negotiable fact that America has faced a national security and economic crisis for many decades, and President Trump is just the first to address this.
And then my last question, how will negotiations change? How much
I do want to say, though,
is planning to make?
I do want to say, though, when you look at the story of her, she said she recalls meeting him in 2022, which would put her at, what, around 24, 23 years old? 24? And him at, like, what, 57, whatever? So they met when she was, what, 23, 24, and he's, like, pushing 60. I mean,
from the tariffs.
Well, that
I could tell you if I had a daughter and she came home with a 60-year-old man, he'd be on the mantle. He's going on the mantle. That's the only place he's going. Outside of that, it's not my business, but if my daughter ever came home with a 60-year-old man, he's going on the mantle. It's just not happening.
Has yet to be seen, but as the president said, the reciprocal tariffs, which will continue to go in effect as these deals are negotiated and ongoing, will generate trillions of dollars in revenue to the United States. And this is twofold. The president wants
I don't like get into the conversation about age gaps because it's like I think there are acceptable, but it's like it's not up for me to judge. You know what I mean? But like when it comes to like if it was in my life and like I had a daughter that like was dating someone who's 60, I would have a serious problem with like if the man was older than me as a father, I'd have a problem with that. I really would. I wouldn't be cool with that.
Onshore jobs here to the United States of America. He wants to boost our manufacturing industry. He also wants to tackle these.
Yeah, I don't think this is an age gap. This is like 40 years.
Crippling deficits with almost every single country around the world. Jackie.
Thanks, Caroline. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, warned that some of these negotiations might take up to months, that we could be doing this through April, May, and into June. And then you had Kevin Hassett say it's going to take a lot for the president to put his signature on the line because he wants to make sure there's a good deal for America. Is the president operating on any sort of a timeline or deadline where he wants this completed by?
Well, we always move at Trump speed here at the White House, which is incredibly fast. I know you all know that from covering this
What?
White House day to day. The president likes to
Anyway, that's pretty interesting.
get things done. But he's very much focused on ensuring that these deals are good for the American worker.
Interesting to say the least. Oh, what the fuck that was. See if I can find. I didn't finish the meeting yesterday. And I wanted to catch the last part. I just couldn't stomach it. Let's see if I can find it today. See if I can go to the point where I was last night.
Concrete. Now, this weekend, you had nobody there but a man with a broom sweeping it and cleaning it up. Pretty amazing. It's really an amazing job. But it will be used for that. It'll be used.
They don't allow tough questions like that anymore. You never see that. Those tough questions from before. We don't see that anymore.
For a lot of things, it'll be used by the Department of Justice for doing a great job. Pam is doing a fantastic job. So it's going to be used for a lot of different things.
Mr. President, on the 10% tariff, is that a basement? Is that the?
It's a baseline.
Can countries negotiate that to bring that?
It depends on what they're adding. You know, some countries we have massive deficits with, or they have big surpluses with us, and others it's not that way. So it depends. That's why it's really they're all different. Every country is different. Some.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't care about Caroline Leavitt's relationship. I just don't. Like, I gave it a couple of minutes of thought, and now I just don't care anymore. I can't be worrying about members of the Klan. I got other things going on.
Certain advantages that others don't have, and certain things. We have some. China has a surplus of $1 trillion. I mean, the numbers are crazy, and others have basically no surpluses. You know, we have some that are pretty even, but they hurt us in other ways.
What do you mean marking immigrants as dead?
We just want to get that taken care of. So everyone is a little bit different.
So are you negotiating with the EU as one bloc?
Hold on, let me look this up. You're saying they're marking immigrants as what?
Or individual nations for the tariffs?
We're looking at it as one bloc. They've been very tough, but they were very smart. They were ready to announce retaliation, and then they heard about what we did with respect to China and others.
Talking about Social Security? Okay, so this is an article that was released yesterday from AP. Social Security lists thousands of living immigrants as dead to prompt them to leave. Wow, this is disturbing. I didn't see this yesterday. This is deeply disturbing. This is deeply disturbing. So let's take a look at this really quick. Once again, Social Security lists thousands of living immigrants as dead to prompt them to leave. The Trump administration has moved to classify more than 6,000 living immigrants as dead, canceling their Social Security numbers and effectively wiping out their ability to work or receive benefits in an effort to get them to leave the country. According to two people familiar with the situation, the move will make it much harder for those affected to use banks or other basic services where Social Security numbers are required. It's part of a broader effort by President Donald Trump to crack down on immigrants who were allowed to enter and remain temporarily in the United States under programs instituted by his predecessor, Joe Biden. The Donald Trump administration is moving the immigrants' names and legally obtained Social Security numbers to a database. Again, legally obtained Social Security numbers to a database that federal officials normally use to track the deceased. According to two people familiar with the moves and their ramifications, they spoke on conditions of, well, they're anonymous, so we're not going to get the actual source here. So how are we going to possibly... I do want to verify that this is true. Is there anything outside of two people familiar with the situation? The officials said stripping the immigrants of their Social Security numbers will cut them off from many financial services and encourage them to self-deport and abandon the U.S. from their birth countries. It wasn't immediately clear how the 6,000 plus immigrants were chosen. But the Trump White House has targeted people in the country temporarily under the Biden-era programs, including more than 900,000 immigrants who entered the United States using the administration's CBP-1 app. On Monday, the Department of Homeland Security revoked the legal status of the immigrants who used that app. They had been generally allowed to remain in the United States for 2 years with work authorization under presidential parole authority during the Biden era, but now are expected to self-deport. Meanwhile, a federal judge said Thursday that she was stopping the Trump administration from ordering hundreds of thousands of Cubans, Haitians, and Venezuelans with temporary legal status to leave the country later this month. A representative from the Social Security Administration did not respond to a request for comment on the news that living immigrants were being classified as dead. The agency maintains that the most complete federal database of individuals who have died in the file contains more than 142 million records, which go back to 1899. The Privacy Act allows the Social Security Administration to disclose information to law enforcement in limited circumstances, which includes when a violent crime has been committed or other criminal activity. DHS and the Treasury Department signaled the deal this week that would allow the IRS to share immigrants' tax data with Immigration and Customs Enforcement for the purpose of identifying and deporting people illegally in the United States. The agreement will allow ICE to submit names and addresses of immigrants inside the United States illegally to the IRS for cross-verification against tax records. Let's see here. President and CEO of Democracy Forward, an advocacy group that has challenged various Trump administration efforts in court, said her organization would likely sue over the Social Security numbers as well once more details become available. This president continues to engage in lawless behavior, violating the law and abusing our system of checks and balances. So two people closest to the situation says, I'm not sure what more proof we have, but it is disturbing if true. And the self-deport thing is totally true. I mean, they openly say, you know, you need to self-deport. They openly say that. You need to leave the country now. You need to leave the country now.
Give me everything I asked for. I said, why didn't somebody ask for it like originally?
Well, it is going to devastate our economy, Rory, and you're right. And one of the things, we haven't even really seen the consequences of the mass deportation yet. Let's be clear. Economically, in terms of what positions these people fill, right? These different sectors these people work in, that American citizens just clearly do not want to work in these specific sectors: food service, agriculture, construction. We have not seen the consequences of mass deportation yet, but we will.
Give me everything. I think when they were negotiating, they didn't care, or they didn't ask, or they were shy, or they were very stupid, or they hate our country. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
You were speaking about Japan. Can you clarify what your vision is for U.S. Steel? You referenced it yesterday.
Yeah.
There's some questions about what you actually want to see.
Sure. Look, U.S. Steel is going to do very well now because of tariffs, and I don't know why they even need a deal. But the only thing is, U.S. Steel, if you go back 80 or 90 years, that was a behemoth.
Well, that's part of the argument, is that when you say for people to self-deport, you're assuming they have the capability to do so. You're assuming they, have somewhere to go. I mean, I would say generally speaking, people don't even have the capability to self-deport. Just trying to scare people. How long till we feel it, you think? I think we'll start to feel it, somewhat in just a few months. Maybe the fall.
In this, that was our biggest, most. If we were around, we would have been very proud of it. Today we have different types of companies that are big. Google, it's not the same as U.S. Steel, and I love Google, and I got to like the people that run it. They're very capable people. They didn't like me so much in the first administration, but they like me a lot now. I don't know what happened, but I like them. But I think they would be the first to admit, when I envisioned, you look at some of those steel factories from 90 years ago, it was a different kind of a country, but they were miles long. Today you see just empty hulks. Those hulks are going to be filled up very soon because of what I'm doing with tariffs. It was a different kind of a thing. But if I didn't do that in the first term, my first term.
Yeah, but remember, bananas are mostly going up due to tariffs, right? There's a 10% baseline tariffs on imports from the countries we largely get bananas from, so that's going to increase prices.
If I didn't put tariffs on, we would have, because China and others were dumping steel, billions of dollars of steel. Our steel companies were all closing. Every fact, we wouldn't have one steel plant open, and now we have a steel industry that's doing very well. But soon it's going to be thriving, really thriving, and those factories are going to be filled up. But more importantly, they're going to build bread.
Prices are going up, but not enough to stink. They will, trust me. Yeah, I think I think there's still a very strong possibility of a recession. We'll see what happens. But I mean, like I said, you got to let this stuff unfold a little bit. He's only been in there for a little while, Let's give it a little bit, and you're going to see more and more. I imagine you're going to see more and more people speak up about how they're being affected. But again, I think a lot of these people will just pretend that everything's okay. Like I saw a Republican Trumper political commentator on YouTube yesterday saying Trump is killing it. That they're not talking like we're talking on the other side. And so I'm watching their chat and I love everything he's doing. They're all celebrating. They're not being personally affected enough yet. Okay. Will they be? Yes. Yes, they will be. Not enough time has passed. And remember, that's why I don't like the left's premature congratulatory behavior. That we celebrate too quickly. Give it a little bit of time. Trust me when I tell you they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it. It's coming. Just give it a little time.
New ones, Nucor and so many other companies call me, Nucor being a big steel company. They're building massive new steel.
They'll ignore small differences. They'll ignore 4 cents for a box of this or blah, blah, blah. And it can get worse and will get worse.
And it's great. And likewise, car companies. We have many, many car companies. 3 of them. I'm not looking to hurt Mexico, and I like Mexico. And by the way, I think the new president is a terrific person, a fantastic woman. We've had many conversations. She's a very elegant, just a fantastic person. And she's been very nice, very, very nice. But I'm not looking to hurt them, but we have 3 car plants that were under construction in Mexico. They stopped.
Don't buy another pair of glasses until you...
He's got absolutely no reason to tell you the truth. Doesn't care.
And now they're going to build in the United States.
No more bids for re-election. He's not going to be... No one's going to be counting his lies. The only way anyone's going to be going back and going, well, let me see, can I trust Trump's credibility? As if there was a bid for re-election. This guy's not running for president again. If he's president again, it's because they've decided he's a dictator and he's not leaving. And we need to make, they could frame it as we need to make this sacrifice, because it's what's best for the country. It's going to largely depend on how much the GOP supports him by the end of his term. And I think if he has the same amount of support that he has right now, I think it's totally possible by force he remains in office. But eliminating the 22nd Amendment, having a supermajority, and getting the approval of 3/4 states' legislators is not going to happen. It's difficult to do so. And the 22nd Amendment, regardless of what Republicans say, it doesn't explicitly state this or that, and you can use succession to try and loophole the 22nd Amendment. You can't. Okay? You can't.
It's because of tariffs. See,
unless the Supreme Court just completely goes out of left field and says, because it doesn't say that, J.D. Vance can run as president, Donald Trump as vice president, and then but he would still be getting elected as vice president. So technically, the 22nd Amendment still stands. There's no way that's how that happens. There's just no fucking way. I would be shocked if it happens that way. Now, could he do it by force? Yes. Is there other ways to do it? Yes. Are they considering those ways? Yes. I think there's other ways to do it. I mean, really, who's going to stand up for us if he decides to do that? Let's take a second and think about it. Is it going to be Chuck Schumer? Who's going to do it? Who are you relying on to stand up and do something? The people that we're relying on right now to fight back against this administration largely are weak. So I don't feel very comfortable about enough people standing up and saying, yeah, you have to leave, Donald Trump. I don't see that. I don't trust that. And then people say, well, the military. Good luck with that. What percentage of the military? There's 0% chance that anyone steps up and does something about it. I really don't think so. Hopefully he doesn't risk it. Hopefully he's not sure, or he doesn't have enough support. I don't know. But I think it's very risky.
Should have never let this happen, because whoever it was that was president at the time, we lost 90,000 plants and factories since NAFTA. 90,000. It's not believable. How about that, Laura? You're in that sort of world of factories and plants.
All you have to do to know that they won't stand up is look at this. Look at the CR that was passed. And how that hurt the American people, and they just rolled over.
Construction jobs, bringing those workers back home.
That's right. We're going to bring them all back. But think of it, from that period of time, which isn't so long ago, we lost.
It's up to the people. That's who it's up to. It's going to be up to us. That's who it's going to be up to. If we have one more shot to ensure that doesn't happen, it's going to be the midterms. But I'm also not going to sit here and guarantee that there's going to be a midterm. I think that would be, for me to sit here and guarantee there was going to be a midterm, that would be irresponsible. I don't even know if there's going to be a midterm. I hope there is. And I think it's our very last chance to do anything at all.
I said the other day, if you had a map on a big wall like this.
We need a blue wave. And I'm encouraged because of what happened in Wisconsin. But I'm just deflated about what's been happening overall.
And if you had pins, 90,000, I don't know if you'd have enough. I don't think you'd have enough room on the map to put the pins. 90,000 factories that we've lost since NAFTA. And it's not even, and about 6 million jobs. Really, I think probably a lot more than that, but they say 6 million jobs. We're going to bring many of that back. I think we're going to bring more than all of it back. We're going to be better and stronger than ever before. But if a president, when they were leaving, said, look, you can leave, but if you're going to build a factory someplace else and you think you're going to come.
What do I mean? I mean that that our democratic principles are being destroyed. That the Republicans are not obeying the Constitution. in that they're arguing like if things aren't explicitly, they're challenging all these democratic principles and therefore eroding them. I think that people have this idea that they are guaranteed a democratic system, and you're not guaranteed a democratic system. American exceptionalism has led you to believe that our system cannot be penetrated. That's the problem. American exceptionalism has led people to believe that that can't happen here. That under no circumstances can what happened in 1930s, 40s Germany happen here, and it can. The United States is absolutely can be penetrated. And has been, in a sense. This is a guy who tried to overthrow the government. So, again, I've always argued that people have this weird delusion about the United States being impenetrable. It's not true. Okay, it absolutely can be destroyed. You don't elect the fascists. You know what the greatest checks and balance you can have is elections. Democracy. You don't vote in, the people don't vote in the fascists. But once the fascist gets voted in, then they use legislation to expand their ability to govern, which is exactly what Hitler did, and it's exactly what Trump did, although Hitler was not elected technically. But you get in power regardless, and then you pass legislation to expand your ability to govern. It's the same strategy that Hitler used. It's exactly what Trump is doing now. He's just expanding his ability to govern and effectively eroding the checks and balances and democratic principles that have allowed us to maintain this country as long as we have. Now we're witnessing these checks and balances actually being challenged. And you're realizing they're not nearly as strong as what you assumed them to be. And that's partially because, they're only as strong as the courts that interpret them. Rory, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo, buddy. Appreciate you. I'm not sure the midterms will be a free and fair election. Look, Milagro, here, we can talk about this right now. Elon Musk is actively trying to buy elections. He tried to buy the Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin. So Republicans are, and now did he lose? Yes, he lost. It doesn't mean he would lose everywhere, and it doesn't mean they wouldn't alter their strategy. If they're willing to put themselves on the line, that's borderline illegal, if not illegal. You can't do that. That's always been my understanding of the law. So you're going to pay people? Like, what if they alter their strategy slightly? If they're willing to buy elections, the richest person in the world is willing to buy elections, that scares me. That concerns me deeply. What else would they be willing to do? If they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? I don't know. I think we need to be on our game, though, come midterms, like in terms of election integrity. We need to be watching very closely. I'm very concerned. They've said it. If we lose these elections, if we lose the presidency, right, we lose the country. So they know what's on the line. How far are they willing to go?
Come and sell your steel or your car or any product that you make, your pharmaceuticals, which we're going to do. We're going to get them all back. But if you think you're going to just, all they had to do is say this and they wouldn't have left. I said it the other day. I said it with respect to, I made a speech a year ago and I told them if I win, we're going to charge a big tariff at the border. And people were thinking about building in Mexico a car plant. And I said, we're going to have a big tariff. So if you want to build a car, you're going to have to pay 25% more than the cost of that car. You're going to have to pay 25% tariff at the border. They would have never left. They could have kept everybody.
I don't know what he's talking about here right now.
The president said, if you leave this country, you leave Michigan, you leave Detroit, you leave any of our states.
No, I have suspicions about the election, but I don't have proof. So if I don't have proof, then there's nothing I can do. If I had proof, I'd be all over it. I don't care what the consequences were. I'd be screaming about it. I have zero proof. I have suspicions. I have circumstantial things that make me, but I don't have actual evidence. And people have brought me a lot of stuff. None of it's evidence.
To me, they're all the same. I love them all. I love them all, and I probably won them all, but they say I won most of them, but I think I won them all, but that's okay. But all you had to say if you were the president is, if you leave and you think you're going to now fire all those workers, leave all that.
Well, look, he said it, right? If you vote for me this time, you'll never have to vote again. And I talked all about that, right? War might be his excuse to stay in. Yes, there could be a million different things he could do. War is a possibility. It's absolutely a possibility.
You know, everything behind, and you're going to build in another country and sell it any, and no, you're not going to. You're going to pay 50% or 100% tariff. They would have never left. And all you had to say, Marco, all you had to say very simply is, you don't have to write it down. All you have to do is say it verbally. If you leave...
Anyone who's had cortisone injections for more than...
Remember, though, even if there is a war, it's not like, for instance, like Ukraine. Different countries have different laws. That doesn't automatically trigger martial law and, cancellation of elections in the United States. Right? There's no provision in the Constitution that suspends an election due to war. That being said, he could use emergency situations to I don't know, to try and do certain things, but that doesn't necessarily mean he would stay in. It could be a bunch of different things. It could be, I don't know, he could use just chaos. He uses chaos to consolidate power. We know that. He uses chaos to consolidate power. That's what he does. What's up, Desi? Oh, you upped your membership? Is that what it doesn't show me that?
Don't leave. They would have never left. But they left 90,000 plants. I mean, it's hard to believe that many. It's not you.
The SAVE Act passed the House. Gen 420 asking, did the SAVE Act pass? The SAVE Act passed the House. I do not believe it will pass the Senate.
Can't envision it.
But we'll see.
So just getting back to your, because I'm the great weaver of all time. To weave, you have to be a genius. To go on tangents, anybody can do that. But we'll get back to your original U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel is a big name in this country.
It's largely believed that it will die in the Senate again, but we'll see what happens.
Babe Ruth is a big name. We have a lot of big names, but not too many. U.S. Steel is one of the great names.
Republicans are working hard to get that passed because they really know how it will affect their elections.
History of our country. And normally I wouldn't mind so much. I wouldn't be thrilled with it. But to buy for a foreign country, and we love Japan, but for a foreign country to buy that cherished U.S. Steel brand, that's hard for me to do.
So this is a cabinet meeting. Did fucking anyone else talk? Let's hear this Muppet.
The fluoride rules based upon the August release by the National Toxicity Program of new science that shows a direct inverse correlation between exposure to fluoride and IQ loss, particularly in children.
Let's go, Shelley, for month 3. Let's go.
Lee and I were in Utah this week, to announce that Utah became the first state in the country to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm working with Brooke on and governors now in 24 states who are advancing MAHA legislation to get soda pops off of the food stamp program.
Is that what you're doing?
Program. We've launched Operation Stork Speed to get
Stork Speed?
chemicals
Fuck yeah.
out of baby formula. We're working with governors across the country.
Get that Stork Speed,
food
baby.
into the school lunch programs and to get rid of food chemical dyes and other bad chemicals that are in our food. We've shown now that this directly affects academic performance, violence in the schools, and mental health, as well as physical health. We are working with governors across the country to get cell-to-cell or bell-to-bell legislation to restrict the use of cell phones in schools.
Might be Substack, Jesse. I don't know. But thank you, Jesse, for being members on both. Appreciate you, buddy.
Which, again, dramatically impacts academic performance. Today we announced.
He says they will have the autism epidemic solved by September. He doesn't even know what autism is.
A dramatic reduction in animal testing at NIH and FDA. We're going to switch over to AI, which we've now found is much more precise in identifying the impacts of toxics in various products. We're working with Elon, who's done an incredible job to eliminate.
Oh, yeah. Elon and you in a room together. That must be intriguing.
The redundancies and to streamline operations at all the health agencies and to recalibrate.
Yeah, he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. This is just a gigantic word salad. We're streamlining this and we're doing this. We're running a stork program out of a random closet in the White House. We've been collecting towels that have stains on them throughout the building, and we've been putting them in the bleach-only pile so that way you don't have any more yellow stains. We've been going around and ensuring that the White House kitchen isn't serving anything with Red 40 in. He's not doing jack shit. This is a gigantic word salad. He made all these crazy promises about shit he's going to do. Now he's in there and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Our trajectory to your agenda of making America healthy again. And finally, on the CDC has done an amazing job at getting the measles outbreak under control. We have about 680 cases now in 22 states. Compared to the same outbreak in Europe, which is 127,000 cases and 37 deaths. Our numbers in this country have now plateaued. And
I don't like your little tie.
And I want to thank CDC for that. And we're trying to refocus the press. We've had 3 measles deaths in this country over 20 years. And we're trying to refocus the press to get them to pay attention to the chronic disease epidemic as you've asked us to. We have now 38% of American youth are pre-diabetic. This was unknown 30 years ago. Every child that becomes diabetic, there should be a headline about them. We have 100 million adults.
Guys, if you think this is him talking right now, it's not. It is the worm. The worm is 100% talking right now.
Who are pre-diabetic or diabetic, and we have, we have now the autism rates have gone from now most recent numbers we think are going to be about 1 in 31, 1 in 20, so they're going up again from 1 in 10,000 when I was a kid.
Oh my God!
And we are going at your direction.
This guy is so
we are
stupid.
Know by September, we've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic.
Judy says, how do I renew my membership? Any help would be appreciated. I think the same way that you did it originally, Judy. Like, I think you have to go to the browser. Same way you hit the join, and it should have your ability to renew.
And we'll be able to eliminate.
Maybe someone in the chat can tell Judy. I don't.
Those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in 10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31.
Yeah, wonder why.
That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So
Oh
you
my
think
God.
you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
Critical analysis, we'll know by September. What bullshit study are they going to come out with? Yeah, you can put it on auto renewal, so that way you don't have to worry about it. But what kind of bullshit study are they going to come out with to blame something for autism? You know what I mean? That's what really pisses me off.
There will be no bigger news conference on that. So
Yeah, there will be. Listen, I can't wait so I can discredit you. Adam, do you think they're being disingenuous, or do you think they actually don't comprehend why rates would be higher? It's a good question. I think I would think that they're being disingenuous because I don't know how stupid you can be. But I think Trump probably doesn't care as much about this. I think RFK is actually unhinged. I think he's actually a nutcase. Like, I actually believe RFK is totally, like, not a serious person. I've never considered him serious. I think largely he's not okay upstairs. But I think he's also, partially he lies, but I think he's also not well. Like, I've never taken him serious. I think he's a complete nut job. Trump, I think, just doesn't really give a fuck. I think he'd be cool with blaming it on something and going after that and having an enemy so he can look like the person that, went after, the cause of autism. You think about the cause of autism, so stupid. But I would love to see an actual expert in this field, respond to their ridiculous study that they're going to release. It's just absurd, people. They're obviously, the reason rates are higher is because we have more advanced testing, right? Technology advances. We have the ability to identify whether or not people are autistic or not, and where they are on the spectrum. It's absurd to assume that it's because that their mother ate too many Doritos. It's absolutely fucking idiotic. Okay? RFK is a nutcase. RFK actually, and I'll tell you how crazy he is. He will literally read something on Twitter and he'll say it out loud. He'll cite studies that are like totally disingenuous and a complete farce, right? Trying to prove their particular point. And he'll regurgitate that study on national television. He is not a serious guy. He's never been a serious guy. He backtracks. He backpedals constantly. He'll make statements. He compared vaccine mandates to the Holocaust. That's not a serious person. Okay? He's an idiot. All right? He's an absolute idiot. And there's just no more of an explanation that's needed. He's partially a liar and partially an idiot. And the idiot side is quite unhinged. I can imagine, Marcy. I can imagine. It is deeply disturbing how dumb these people are. But truthfully, people, they want to cut funding, right? So that's one of the reasons that they're doing this as well. Right? They just want to continue to be able to eliminate funding, any type of government funding. And this is why you see them saying things. We should be treating things with like natural ingredients and stop using medication. It is all directed at the same thing.
That's it. If you can come up with that answer where you stop taking something.
This guy ran over a bear, or claims he found it down on the road. Said he didn't kill it. I don't know. Took it to Central Park in New York City, propped it up on a bicycle, giggled, and then left. It was a huge story in New York that there was a dead bear found propped up on a bicycle. Of course, it eventually fell over, so then the bear was found with the bicycle. It was a huge story. The entire time it was him, he never said anything until recently. He's a weirdo.
You stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to. Can you imagine that, Marco? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great.
If your neck looks like this,
and you never see any real credible people supporting these theories either. Let's get some credible people to support the idea that that's the reason why. And I don't even believe, they keep saying we're going to find all these things out. Guys, we're going to release this like big case of fraud that happened too. Like there was these fake charity. There's going to be all these arrests. I largely don't believe any of these things are going to come true that they're saying. I've said this all the time. I think RFK is going to accomplish a whole lot of nothing. You know what I mean? He's dangerous. The thing they're gonna do that's gonna be a major problem, I think, is they're trying to undermine the public's trust in vaccination, in modern medicine, in these things. I don't know. This guy should not be in government. He's probably the most dangerous person in Trump's cabinet, I would say, outside of Pete Hegseth, only because his position is he's in control of the military. He's fucking dangerous, dude. Like, RFK has been dangerous for a long time. He's a bad guy.
Please. Well, Mr. President, one of your primary administration goals is to make sure that we unleash American energy, and of course the strategy behind that is when we do that, it helps make it more affordable for all Americans. Energy isn't just industry, it is the...
He can't add regulation when the whole administration goes to reduce regulation. Exactly. He wants to... It's also, you're telling this like corporatist to go after corporations. Like, that's the other part of this. Like, yeah, we're going to go after these big corporations and tell them they can't use these ingredients. Do you understand this is just a result of Endstage capitalism, people? All these people talk about this issue when it's really just a result of Endstage capitalism. It's why you see, like, these calorie-dense ingredients in food. They fill you up quicker, blah, blah, blah. This is all a result of Endstage capitalism. Profit over health. Profit over people. That's capitalism. That's an issue with capitalism and end-stage capitalism. They all talk about these issues without referencing the real problem, which is that it's end-stage capitalism, truthfully.
Foundation of every other industry, whether it's food, manufacturing.
Of course these food companies don't give a shit about the American people. Of course they're not using the healthiest of ingredients. They're using the shittiest ingredients they can find that fill you up the quickest and that get you addicted to those particular types of foods. It's called capitalism. Welcome to the show.
Clothing, transportation. And then also when we've got the ability to generate and not just be energy independent, but energy dominant, then we have the opportunity to sell energy to our friends and allies versus them buy it from our adversaries. And our adversaries were funding terrorism and conflicts against our allies by their oil and gas sales that were going through a Swiss cheese set of sanctions. So with your creation of the National Energy Dominance Council, over half the people at this table serve on that. Everyone has been engaged, whether it's interactions with negotiations with other countries, with putting sanctions in place that actually work, with cutting deregulation, working on biofuels, building infrastructure for transportation. There's a whole range of things that are being tackled. But when in the outcome of all that is that the Biden.
I didn't see this yesterday. This is Hakeem Jeffries speaking on passing this SABAC.
In the Capitol, the battle lines with respect to Democratic values and Republican values have once again been clearly drawn. House and Senate Democrats are standing on the side of the American people, and we continue to be committed to building an economy that's affordable and that works for everyday Americans and drives down the high cost of living, while protecting health care, nutritional assistance, and the Social Security of the American people. Donald Trump and extreme MAGA Republicans are doing everything they can to tank our economy, drive us toward a recession, and gut the health care of the American people by visiting upon them the largest Medicaid.
Hakeem Jeffries requested a one-on-one debate with Mike Johnson. I'd love to pretend that I'm in. I mean, I'd watch it, but
cut in history, along with the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, all in service of enacting massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors like Elon Musk. It's a toxic scheme that they cannot hide from because it continues to be on full display on the House floor and on the Senate floor for the American people. The budget resolution that passed the House today will set in motion some of the most extreme cuts to health care, nutritional.
I want to see him talk about the SAVE Act.
In January, Donald Trump announced that the Office of Management and Budget was going to freeze spending all across the federal government, including freezing Medicaid spending. In less than 48 hours, Donald Trump and the White House reversed themselves. I've never seen that happen to an American president within his first 10 days in office. Reversed himself. That's not coming close. That's losing. Donald Trump has now announced tariffs on multiple occasions, said to the country that he was not going to back down, and in each and every instance, he backed down. That's the administration and Donald Trump losing, not coming close, backing down. They've lost special election after special election after special election. You're citing 2 races in Florida that Donald Trump won by 30 and 37 points respectively. Did anyone reasonably expect that those races would be won by Democrats? Of course not. Why were they even close is the question. But we're not citing the Florida special elections. We're citing the special election in Iowa that they lost, in New York in February that they lost, in Pennsylvania in the district that Donald Trump won.
Desi, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Another plane crash today and helicopter crash yesterday. What the fuck? I know. So the plane crash was this morning, right? 3, and then there was a helicopter crash in the Hudson last night. I said this earlier. I think it's like whenever you heard of like the end of the world, you used to hear when the world was going to end, all the helicopters and planes were going to fall out of the sky.
By 15 points in a state Senate race that they lost. And a crushing pass in February calls for $880 billion in cut. They can run, but they cannot stand. This is a consistent, appreciate that.
This incredible.
Yeah, I really just want to hear you talk about the SAVE Act, to be honest.
Chad, you're in timeout corner right now.
I need to go sit in some chat. Yeah. Republicans are proposing new spending for border security funding in this forthcoming budget.
Nope. Well, I'll be actively participating in the Save Social Security.
The highest income earners, if they were to do that, does that scramble Democrats' message of being the party for working class people
And it's going to be important on all of us, as we've seen repeatedly by members of the House Democratic Caucus, to meet the moment. As Stephen Horsford,
Jesus Christ,
for a time, Steve Scalise participated in the approach that House Democrats took as it relates to the continuing resolution fight? It's a question I'm asking.
I think there were complaints that
Hasn't changed. Our approach certainly hasn't changed because, as far as I can tell, were there any complaints about the approach that House Democrats took as it relates to the continuing resolution fight? It's a question I'm asking.
I think there were complaints that party leaders were not necessarily aggressive enough overall.
I complained about it. What are you talking? Wait, is it?
That House Democratic leaders were not aggressive in strongly opposing the reckless Republican spending bill that we were very clear would hurt families, hurt children, hurt seniors, hurt everyday Americans. I think the chronology around your question is off and the substance is off, because what we did here in the House was very clear, and how the public responded to it was also very clear. In fact, what's been interesting is I think Donald Trump himself made the observation a few days ago, the one thing House Democrats apparently do better than Republicans is stick together on votes. That's the opposition making that observation. So think the facts speak for themselves. Thanks.
There should have been a blank CR signed in that case.
Right
they
there.
should have allowed more time for negotiation.
It's a bunch of you together.
That never should have
Right,
passed.
right.
A question on the equities markets. The president.
Can I please
Be
get
able
the
to
say back
pursue,
comment?
and we'll do
Jesus
so
Christ.
aggressively, and in fact, so we're committed to making sure that every single frontline member returns to the House of Representatives after the November 20th.
I guess he doesn't comment on it here.
Do you still believe there should be litigation in Texas of fulfilling the labor sequester terms seen now that?
I guess they're just not too worried about it right now. All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed the morning live. I have some stuff I got to do. I didn't realize it was already 1:15, but maybe I'll try and find that clip later. I'd like to see what his response was to that officially and watch it live with you. And we got other stuff to watch. I wanted to watch the whole Bernie town hall. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on that I want to, interesting stuff. There's just not enough time right now for me to do it all. Appreciate everybody who contributed to the gifting goal. Thank you to everybody. A couple people sent Venmo today. Appreciate you as well. Guys, if you have not subscribed yet, would appreciate actually physically subscribing. I know some of you haven't. Not sure why my analytics show people watching and not subscribing. Would appreciate always subscribing. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And hopefully I'll see you tonight. All right? Hopefully. All right? Love you guys. Take care.